You've probably heard that for best results, you should use coffee beans within 30 days of roasting, which is easier said than done. You can rule out almost all grocery store beans for a start, but there's an incredible stat about freezing coffee beans. Freshly roasted beans that are then frozen will stay within that 30-day freshness window for 5 years. Yes, 5 years. And how? Well, for every 1 day of aging at room temperature, a frozen coffee bean takes 90 days to age the same amount. I'm putting this to the test. I have one vial here of frozen beans that are 9 months old. I've got another vial which is also 9 months old. These weren't frozen though, just room temperature. And then I have a fresh bag straight from the roaster. So before I brew these, why the vials? Well, you don't want to just toss a bag of coffee into the freezer. Why not? Well, moisture. These beans need to stay completely dry. Freezing coffee can often cause the quality of the coffee to degrade over time due to the formation of ice crystals. These ice crystals can cause the coffee to become more acidic, which could affect its flavor, and it might also absorb odors or flavors from other foods in the freezer. Yuck! No thank you. So you need an airtight container to keep the beans from getting soggy. Now, some folks favor using vacuum sealed beans, and that works great, but as soon as you open the seal, the cold beans will mix with the humidity in the air, causing condensation. In fact, I can already see condensation on the outside of this frozen vial. And that means that resealing the bag and throwing the beans back into the freezer just isn't going to work. So that's why I'm using these cheap vials that, well, I found on Amazon. They hold enough beans for a single coffee and are airtight and are reusable. So 9 months ago, I went to work putting coffee beans into vials. I measured out a whole bag of decaf coffee and have been keeping them in the fridge for months. When I want to make a decaf, I just pull out a vial from the freezer and I have fresh beans ready to go. And I did the same thing for my regular roast, Big Trouble here. 9-month-old frozen Big Trouble, and then 9-month-old Big Trouble left at room temperature. Now, I froze these guys about 7 days after roasting, which is right within the 7 to 14 off-roast window that's optimal for freezing beans. All right, let's brew. So I'm brewing these 3 coffees using the pour-over method with a Chemex. First up are the 9-month-old beans that I froze. You can fit about 17 or 18 grams of coffee in these vials, and by fitting them right to the top, I've minimized the space for air to stale the beans over time. Now, coffee 1 looks in good shape, and then right away coffee 2, which was made from the 9-month-old beans kept at room temperature, well, that one smells a bit flat. I also brewed a third coffee using a fresh bag of the same beans from the same roaster, so now it's time for the taste test. Is there a difference? First of all, I'm just going to smell the coffees because I certainly noticed that the aroma was a little bit lacking in the stale beans. Yeah, without a question, much flatter with the stale beans. Doesn't really smell of anything at all. I think I'm going to start with what I'm used to, which is just a regular pack of fresh beans. Oh, it's delicious. It's really good. I've got to say, the combination of medium roast beans with the Chemex using a 16:1 ratio, it's really, really good. Okay, so how does the frozen version of the beans that are 9 months old hold up? Yeah, that's good. That's really good. So not at all acidic, not at all bitter, a real nice middle ground, little bit of maybe caramel sort of taste, a little bit of sweetness. Okay. I don't have high hopes, but 9 months just sat in this tube. The beans weren't, mistreated, but do they taste okay? Okay, here's what I was expecting, and here's what I've got. I was expecting this to be much like the aroma, which is to say, nothing much, like no flavor at all. But actually, there is some flavor, but it's acidic. It is not very pleasant. So I think we can rule out storing beans for 9 months, but you probably knew that coming in already, right? That's not going to make a great cup of coffee. Question is though, is this as good as this? Because that's what it needs to be, as good. I gotta say, I can't tell the difference. I cannot tell the difference between these two. So vials like these, or any way that you can store an individual serving of coffee, then that really seems to be a good solution, because you can just reuse these. I'm going to fill this up with some more of these, put these back in the freezer for another 9 months, couple of years, whatever, and I know now that when they come out, they're going to taste much the same. And I brewed these with my Chemex. What if I used something else? Well, if you want to see how a coffee comes out with a Chemex compared to with a Bowden pour over maker, check out this video.